Think of the most beautiful moment you can imagine. No regrets, no remorse, no guilt, no feelings of insecurity or inferiority. You'll be young and beautiful, held in loving arms, adored by everyone who looks upon you. There is no death in paradise, no sickness, no poverty, no growing old.
So, if you could say your name and how you're involved in this,
My name is Lorena Basalme. I guess you could say that I'm the leader of this ministry.
Can you define what you mean when you use the word ministry?
To minister to someone is to serve, to care for, or comfort. But I guess there are those who may look upon us and think of us as being a cult.
Would you be offended if someone were to describe you as being a cult leader?
No, not at all. A cult is essentially any group of people, or a congregation if you will, who follow a specific system of spiritual beliefs and practices. In this sense, an institution such as a Catholic Church could be considered a cult.
So are you to this ministry as a pope is to the Catholic Church?
As far as I know, the Pope is yet to communicate with the dead.
Since 1998, every single summer has been hotter than the summer before. We're at a tipping point.
A tipping point? Are we talking 15% or are you a cheap bastard?
Look, we're at a tipping point in regards to the economy, the environment. Our consumption of resources has put us at a tipping point.
And you think this is a sign of the apocalypse?
Global warming is causing droughts and record high temperatures are creating tsunamis, hurricanes, not to mention earthquakes that have the potential to trigger nuclear meltdowns in every single city.
Are a nut.
Our own immorality is causing our extinction.
You're a crackpot.
It isn't just me who's saying this.
Oh yeah, every religion.
The Mayans predicted the alignment of the sun in the center of the Milky Way will create a dark rift on December 2012,
all will perish before
and
the four
everyone will
horsemen of the
die.
apocalypse. What were their names?
Like 500 years ago, Nostradamus predicted that on the far side of Babylonia, there will be a great shedding of blood. The cults, the famine,
the wisdom of Nostradamus.
Will die.
Ladies and gentlemen, makes about as much sense as a fortune
This is the sound of the prophecy.
And this is the sound of me hanging up on a dumbass.
For my wrinkles.
That's not where your wrinkles are.
Watch it, Bob.
La mujer es mejor que la violencia.
And the more is the Lord.
Siempre con usted.
It's my wrinkles.
So how did you guys get involved with this ministry?
Sería mejor que le preguntamos a Carol, ¿no?
Well, Carol, Acetro's wife, is a client.
Well, she visits. It's because we are here because my wife, she is very superstitious.
But we're not close-minded. I mean, we want to support Carol any way we can. And she can be very superstitious, like Isabel really said, but she's still a good person.
She's usually very normal. Ella es muy buena persona, o sea.
Gracias, amigo.
Usualmente ella es muy buena persona y well, Carol, she's a very sensitive, kind person, and she's always talking about the things that goes into these meetings. So we got curious and decided to come and see for ourselves what really goes into these meetings.
It's easy to prejudge and dismiss what we're trying to accomplish. I mean, supposedly we live in a society that promotes tolerance and religious freedoms. But
they are also afraid of the unknown.
Exactly. A seance isn't as graphic as most people think. The table doesn't float, there's no lightning and thunder.
Like in the movies.
Precisely. I mean, it isn't flashy, but it's real. when you have someone like Lorena who knows how to control the spiritual energy in the room, you just feel it, you know? You understand the presence.
Did you always believe that sort of thing?
Oh, what do you mean?
Like, the spiritual energy that you were talking about.
Sometimes. I mean, it's difficult to explain, but sometimes I feel like the spirits could just enter my body and do whatever they wanted. It's like right this very moment, they could take over our bodies and make us tear at each other like wild animals, and we'd end up on the floor naked and not even know how we got there.
This is crazy.
That's what I'm hoping to prove.
These people are like Jim Jones crazy.
Just stay away from the Kool-Aid and you'll be fine.
And the Maris guy.
Bizarro.
What? The guy gives me the creeps.
Just keep the camera rolling.
A faithful soul is like a candle.
Just keep the camera rolling.
Broadcasting live from the mothership. Hey, is that your grandmother? So, will this be your first seance?
You mean with Lorena?
Yeah.
No, I've gone before with Carol, but I don't know, this is the first time for... So, second time for me, first for these two.
What happened last time?
I don't know, but the others seemed to really get something out of it, especially Marius. He got insanely emotional when she started talking about his mother. I thought it was really interesting, but I'm not into that stuff.
Has Lorena ever asked for some sort of contribution or
No,
donation?
I never heard her ask, but I did see Marius and Nicole give her envelopes.
Has Carol ever given a contribution of some sort?
Well, she gives her some $40 each time that she visits, but this is a lot cheaper than going to a psychiatrist, and she has been a lot happier since she's been coming to these sessions, and a lot easier to live with, so I am grateful to Lorena. Whether this is just for diversion or something more, she has made our lives better.
So yeah, so you're probably wondering why we're preparing food in someone else's home, but Lorena said that the seance would take place after sunset, so we decided it'd be really nice to have a dinner all together.
Parece que el vecino tiene una mala transmisión.
Parece pues.
No.
Lorena said this would increase the positive energy in the house, so that's why I'm preparing a salad. Isabro is barbecuing some pork chops and Raul about the wine.
I'll find any excuse to drink.
Hi, I'm so sorry I'm late. I would have been here sooner, but there's this dog by the bus stop, and he wasn't very big, but someone tied him to the walkway. You know that walkway on the way to the bus stop. Anyway, he wasn't very big, but I was afraid he was gonna like scratch my leggings, you know? So I'm trying to find a stick to like throw, not at him, but just like make him go fetch, you know? And all I can find is this shoe. And I'm thinking like he'll probably chase it, you know, because he's a dog. But it's garbage, and there's this like gum on the bottom of it. But then it dawned on me, oh my God, what if there's this poor homeless man like walking around with only one shoe, you know? And here I am contemplating using his only other shoe, like his shoes match as like bait for this dog. How horrible is that anyway? But then the bus was coming, so I was like,
That's all right, honey. We're still waiting on Travis. Ah, this is Lazaro, a friend of Ingrid's.
Ingrid?
Yeah, she was here last time.
Oh, right. It's nice to meet you. I'm Nicole.
It's nice to meet you too. I'm interviewing people who are involved with this ministry, and I was wondering...
Is this going to be on TV?
Lazaro's going to film tonight's seance. Don't worry, Lorena.
Oh. And you want to interview me?
If that's okay with you.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, but could you give me like a minute to fix my hair? My name is Nicole Goya, and I became interested in spiritualism in my second year of high school.
Spiritualism?
Yes.
The spirits are inside you. I mean, even if you don't believe, the spirits are within you.
Yeah, and it's something a lot of people believe and respect, you know? So if you like pray to a patron saint or invoke the name of God when you're asking for help, right? You're reaching out to the spirit world.
Don't be afraid to reach out.
And asking a spiritual being to intervene in your life.
You must let the spirits intervene.
Yeah, like, I know a lot of people think of seances and fortune tellings as some kind of parlor trick, you know? The turban-wearing gypsies reading into their crystal balls.
No balls at the seance.
And the only difference between this ministry and a more established religion is that our prophet is still alive and with us.
Isn't that wonderful?
So who is your prophet?
Lorena.
Yes.
Lorena Barcelome.
Lorena is our shining path.
How did you come across Lorena?
It was our destiny.
I see. Nicole, could you be a
You
little
want
bit
me to
more
be a little bit
specific?
more specific?
You want to be a little more specific?
Well, like I said, spiritualism has always been really important to me. So I've read a lot of books and spoken to a lot of religious leaders of different faiths. So I've spoken to priests and rabbis, imams, Buddhist lamas. I even went to some psychic conventions.
Total waste of time.
But none of them were able to provide me with answers.
Only Lorena can provide you with the answers.
And then it was like 6 months ago when there was this news report on TV, and this woman had passed away, and she left all of her inheritance to Lorena.
Isn't that wonderful?
I'm sorry, I don't remember the details, but when they showed Lorena's house, you know, this house, I knew. I don't know how I knew, I knew that there was something special about this house, and anyway, I ended up trying to check it out, and
it was destiny.
As you can see, there are no hidden strings, no smoke machines, or electronic gadgets except for the cameras. Usually we don't permit any electronic devices in this area. No cell phones, no Blackberries, no iPods.
Kind of like an airplane during takeoff.
Something like that.
So, how did you get involved with this,
With the ministry?
Yeah, this ministry.
My mother died.
Oh. My condolences.
I guess that's the appropriate thing to say.
So, how did you get involved with...
The ministry?
Yeah, this ministry.
I was visiting my mother's grave when Lorena found me. She was visiting the grave of a woman who had committed suicide. At first I thought the way we met was by chance, but now I know it was fate. It was then that Lorena told me that the reason I was having so much trouble accepting my mother's passing was because I was looking at things all wrong. See, when the head shrinkers talk about the grieving process, they talk about it like it's some kind of routine procedure. First you have to go through denial, then anger, then bargaining, then depression, and then acceptance. But what they don't realize is death is not the end. We shouldn't close the book on a person just because their heart stops beating. There is an eternal spirit. There is life after death. There is an order to the universe. Those people who think that chaos theory is true or profess that evolution is some kind of random occurrence do so because they are too arrogant to admit that there are things in this life that are beyond their comprehension. This is why we have holy days. You know, most people think that these are just days when you don't have to go to work, but there was once a time when these days signified the proper alignments between the planets and the stars. A time and space when the portals between realities are open.
So, you believe Halloween is a day when the living can communicate with the dead?
It used to be. But because the Gregorian calendar, the calendar most people use, is imperfect, the days have all shifted. Now, All Saints' Day no longer falls upon the Spirit's Feast of Samhain. So this is why we must study astrology and numerology, so that we can rediscover when the door to the spirit world will be open.
Could today be a holy day?
The holiest.
See, the problem with most world religions is that what starts off as being like a spiritual quest for God ends up becoming an institution or a tradition that revolves around the acquisition of wealth and worldly power. It's like what Karl Marx said, you know, about religion being the opium for the masses.
Personally, I think television is the opium for the masses.
Yet you want to be a journalist.
Yeah, but not for the mainstream media.
Oh, so for like,
I have my own website where I post all my documentaries.
Oh, cool.
Sorrow.
The way I see it is that the people who control the media don't want you to believe in God.
Lazaro.
They want you to put your faith in these over-the-counter drugs and any other products advertised.
Well, Carol's studying to be a nurse, so you could probably talk to her about all that stuff.
And she can always get you the good stuff. Just kidding.
So what you're saying is, as long as people believe that they can buy the rate of their problems, then network sponsors will keep selling them their products.
Cause and effect.
So was last time your first time with Lorena?
Yeah.
How was it? Was it what you expected?
So I think Lorena's going to be conducting tonight's seance by candlelight. Will it be too dark for your camera?
Shouldn't be a problem.
Is it infrared?
Night vision.
What's the difference?
It's technical.
Well, I once saw this film. It was really cool. They were recording ghosts with infrared.
It was probably just staged for entertainment purposes.
Oh boy, that's what Raoul said.
So do you call it? The horse's shoes.
This is Lazaro, Ingrid's friend. Lazaro's going to help us document tonight's seance.
Hi. It's good to have you with us. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sandra. I was here last time.
Yeah, I remember.
She has a good face for memories.
This is my boyfriend Raoul.
Hey,
Mucho
pleasure.
gusto.
Nice to meet you.
My name is Lazaro. I'll be making a documentary today on the seance.
Yeah.
I was hoping if I could just ask you a few questions.
Yeah, sure. Do you,
Do you want us to go into the other room and give you some privacy?
actually, yeah, that'd be great. Do you mind if we do it in the kitchen? Is that
Yeah,
okay?
that's not a problem.
Okay, let's go.
So, if you could say your name and how you got involved in this ministry.
Do you want me to look at you or the camera?
Whatever makes you feel comfortable.
Okay. My name is Travis Lincoln, and I've been involved in this ministry from the beginning. Okay.
Yeah, it's good. Can you elaborate?
Okay. I've known Lori since we were kids, and I first became aware of her gift on September 11, 2001, when I saw the second airplane crash into the World Trade Tower. And that's when I realized 8 years earlier, Lori had described that exact event.
How did you react when you came about this realization?
I freaked the fuck out.
Could you, you mentioned something about growing up with Lorena.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. Okay. Back when we were kids, people, even the teachers thought there's something on about Lori. But she didn't cause any problems, so I didn't mind being friends with her. See, both of our families were military, so it's kind of hard for us to relate to other kids. But I remember this one time. Look, here we are walking along. It's cold as hell out. And she's just standing there. And I reached over to pull her along when she opens her mouth like she might scream, and then bam. You hear this sound in the distance, and then I don't know, Lori turns to me and starts shouting, "Stay with me, Travis, stay with me." Look, we were kids, you know, so look, I ran down to the corner to take a look at what happened, and people are coming out of their houses. They heard the accident, and what you've got is this station wagon that it slid on the ice and it just plowed right through this traffic light. You've got these kids, these fucking kids that were underneath the light, and so you've got blood everywhere, right? You've got blood on the windshield, on the snow. You've got bodies everywhere. When I was 12 and she was 11, Lori described an airplane crashing into a building and seeing 2 burning skyscrapers fall to the ground. I mean, there's no mistaking that. It's not like a random hurricane or flood here. I mean, this was a unique event in human history for the world to see. So when I saw it on the news, I decided to track her down, and I found her in a mental institution. See, the problem is that everybody just dismisses her as being crazy. But she's not crazy. And once she had that moral support, she began exploring her powers.
Do you have the ability to predict the future?
The spirits do not measure time the way we do. They live in eternity, so they have experienced all that has happened. I know that will happen.
So, you see what they see.
I experience moments.
Can you give us an example? Maybe you could tell me who's going to win the next Super Bowl.
But honestly, it doesn't work like that.
Really? How does it work then?
I have lived through an eternity of experiences, perceived through an infinite amount of perspectives. These experiences remain jumbled like different pieces of a jigsaw puzzle until one of them, for whatever reason, rises to the surface. I used to try to draw my visions, but the specifics would fade very quickly. Sometimes all I'm left with is an impression.
So, have you ever tried to prevent a disaster by using Lorena's predictions?
You mean like the 9/11 hijacking?
Yeah.
Well, Lori has predicted so many tragic events. You know she's experienced what it's like to burn to death?
Wait, you mean she was burned in a fire?
Not her physical body. It was an experience that was projected onto her. Now, did this experience come from the past or from the future? Did the person who perished in the flames die in a Manhattan skyscraper or in a Vietnam hut? Was it a Salem witch that was burned at the stake or a baby in Hiroshima? See, there's so much suffering in this world. I mean, even if she could predict a disaster, it makes you think you or anybody would listen.
Everybody knows that burning petroleum will destroy the planet. We know that manufacturing nuclear weapons has the potential to bring about the apocalypse, but does this stop us from waging wars for oil?
Besides, she rarely recalls the specifics. I mean, even if she could recall the planes or the hijacking or the buildings, she had no idea when or where it was going to happen.
Lorena said we'd be eating down here.
That's right, you can just place the food on the table.
Is this gonna be picnic style?
Well, we can only accommodate 6 upstairs, so we
No,
figured
this is
we're
okay. It's cozy.
I used to do groundskeeping. That was my first job when I came here. And I remember that no matter how many times we killed the weeds, the following year they would come back even more resilient.
They developed a tolerance for the spray.
Yeah, but the point of the story is that these plants, which have no mind and no thoughts, are so determined to survive that no matter how many times you cut them down, they did not give up.
Do you admire their will to survive?
The moment my husband sees something he didn't plant